The show where there are no penalties, nothing is offside, and everything is fair game. This is The Gloves Are Off.
Welcome to The Gloves Are Off, this week's edition. I'm Moses Woldu. I'm pleased to be joined by these two fine gentlemen here. Greg Buchanan, of course, CPCA radio announcer. You do some stuff as well as a general manager for a junior B hockey team. But I do want to get to what happened over the weekend. Some great racing down in Dewberry.
Yeah, great races. Wayne Knight was red hot for 4 days, and he ends up winning the Prairie Racing Series. And right now, we only have 2 more shows left, 3 days in Turtleford and then 5 days here in Lloydminster.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens, not only for the top spot, but as well as grabbing the final spots for Calgary next year.
A lot of great storylines coming up here in the next 2 weeks.
Speaking of great storylines, this man, of course, you have plenty of them. You are the coach for the Lloyd AA Midgets team, who had a great series down in Saskatoon for Provincials, just squeaking by through to the finals and then just obliterating Northeast, Team Northeast that was. We're going to have to mention you once again, Derek Flash. How you doing?
Good. Glad to be here.
Perfect. We were hyping you up. Almost forgot your name. All right. You know what? There's a couple of names you won't be able to forget in the NSRBL. 1, the Lloydminster Twins. 2, the Border City Blue Jays. Now, of course, the Blue Jays have been a team that's played second fiddle. They really haven't had success outside of the regular season. Postseason, usually lose out in the first or second round. Haven't really gotten over the hump. However, this year they have, not only posting the best record in the league, they're making it to the championship final for the first time in their history. They're also playing the Lloydminster Twins team that's making their 14th consecutive appearance in a final. They've won 8 championships, 4 in a row, looking to make it 5, be the first team to do so. Who do you have in this series? The Jays, that are those upstarts who have really good pitching, or the Twins, that veteran-savvy team that looks to be clicking at the right time?
You know, I think it's going to be a tough call because I think the Jays have the talent to win, but I also think, the nerves are going to probably affect them a lot more than the Lloydminster Twins. The young Fector kid who's there now is going to be a big boost to that Jays squad. And, if the Jays do win, I think it's going to be because of him. So.
Yeah, Fector's going to make it. Colby Field, strong pitcher for the Jays. There's a few former Twins who are playing for the Jays. They probably have something, more than just bragging rights on the line here because they like to kind of, beat some old boys.
Do you think it would be a problem that you have the Twins that are going to be well rested in this situation? They're going to have about a week to 2 weeks off. Coming up this weekend, you have Provincials for the Blue Jays. Who do you think has the advantage? The team fresh off a couple games or a team that's well rested?
I would usually say the team that's playing the most baseball has the better chance of winning, just from being there. Those layoffs never help anybody. But in saying that, the Twins are, they're getting to be an elderly group, so maybe the extra time may, just help them. Who knows? But I've always been a big fan of the baseball team that keeps playing ball.
And that's the toughest thing for some of these minor ball teams is they'll have a few weeks off before Provincials, and they'll try to get a few games in. But if you're not playing steady ball, you're not getting your pitching, you're not getting your fielding in, you're not getting your hitting in. Yeah, it takes a little bit of time to get everything rolling again. So for the Jays, they'll play, I believe, 2 games this week possibly, then they go to Provincials and they resume that series again. How is that going to work?
Yeah, it was interesting to see. So who do you have?
I'm going to pick the Blue Jays.
Blue Jays, and you are?
I'm going to go with the Jays as well.
Perfect. All right, we'll see what happens in a couple weeks' time. All right, let's go on to Alex Rodriguez. Major League Baseball has thrown down the hammer. 211 games for A-Rod. Another dozen players also involved, given about 50-game suspensions. A few have already served their time, Bartolo Colon, Melky Cabrera being those who faced it last year. But do you feel this is more like a witch hunt by Major League Baseball, trying to find that poster child to go after? And the way they've gone after Alex Rodriguez, is it fair or unfair?
I think it's unfair. There's a whole boatload of players that have been taking PEDs for the last 20 years. Alex Rodriguez happens to be, on a bit of a pedestal because he's a great ball player. So to me, the timing yesterday, everything seemed to happen according to A-Rod's schedule. So, I understand what Major League Baseball is doing, but at the same time, it seems like they're singling out Alex Rodriguez, and he's just one of many, many players who have, taken part in that. So.
Yeah, you know what? It kind of does look like that. It does look like a witch hunt. They're trying to make an example of A-Rod for the rest of Major League Baseball. There's some other hidden things in this too, because you have to wonder, the New York Yankees probably want him to have a lifetime suspension so they can drop his contract.
Well, you also got to look at A-Rod also had a private investigator follow some members of Major League Baseball, and I'm assuming the New York Yankees probably be added into that mix as well. This is not just a war on a guy who's taking performance-enhancing drugs. This is a war on a personal level. This has gone far beyond, hey, you took drugs, this is your punishment for, you know, misbehaving, whatever. No, I think this has gotten personal. We don't like you, A-Rod. We want you out of the game. That's how it seems to me. Do you guys see that same sentiment coming from Bud Selig and Major League Baseball?
I think it's financially motivated. There's a lot of money at stake here. What is it, $28 million for next year? Straight wages. There's bonuses involved. You know, if he hits 660 home runs, which he's only 13 away from, there's another $6 million bonuses. So we're talking $34 million that we know of, and you know, that's just laid out in his contract. So I think if the Yankees can get out of that, they're going to be all for it.
Next question for you, actually, Greg. You'll start this off. What do you think what the players' reaction would be? Not necessarily just the ones from Major League, or not just Major League Baseball. Not them. I'm talking about the players themselves. I'm talking about the managers. Joe Girardi said there's no need for cheating in baseball. It's not right, but yet skirted away when it came to Alex Rodriguez. Do you think other players are going to be, especially on his team, angry with him, disappointed in him? What would you say if you were in the locker room?
Well, I think there's two ways of looking at it. As a player, you lose a little respect for him, but also these players are fans just like us. And you've seen that from a few players already make statements, like a Ryan Braun, taking their poster off their kid's bedroom window because they're not a fan anymore. So you got to think that's probably one of the reasons that you're going to lose a little respect for A-Rod. You lose the respect for the likes of Ryan Braun too.
So those suspensions, how is it going to affect those teams coming up?
Well, I think, you know, the fact these guys have built their team and those rosters for the last few years with those guys in it. So I don't know if you can necessarily just start plugging people in to replace those guys, because they're, you know, they're very good ball players and they deserve to be there. So, you know, I think, you know, I think the quality of ball is going to go down for some of those teams, especially with A-Rod and Johnny Peralta with the Detroit Tigers, and
I say like
Nelson
even
Cruz.
Well,
you know, Nelson Cruz. Now they got to fill a big spot in their lineup. So
they could appeal and they could play for the rest of this season. But the thing is, some of those players are eligible for free agency next year. So all of a sudden, if they appeal and they don't get suspended this season, they get suspended next season. All of a sudden, you're getting a free agent that can't play how many games into the season.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens in that aspect, but we're going to take a quick timeout. When we come back, we're going to talk about Tiger Woods and should we value his win last week at the Bridgestone Classic. We'll have more coming up.